you know that? Everybody who's got IBS?
The catching bipolar from having sex, the sexually transmitted demon, is, to me, like, that should negate you from being able to give anybody advice about anything. Crossing the road, what color shirt to wear in the morning. If you say that you can catch a demon by having sex, you should not be allowed to give your opinion on anything. Nothing. Period.
Nothing at all.
Yeah. I mean, if you think you can catch a genetically based disease like Parkinson's or something,
demon transitioning. Because you had sex with your husband, your own husband, 11 years before you got married. And he got Parkinson's. And then once that demon was done with him, because he was dead and he couldn't inhabit him anymore, the demon moved over to you. Doesn't that make sense to you, Steve? It's probably because you're not a doctor. Maybe if you were a doctor, that would make sense.
Maybe I should enroll in this course. Yeah, I'm thinking I might have to learn it in this curriculum here.
And this is how much they know about psychology. Look at this. There are disorders this is them saying there's so many psychological disorders. Psychology just doesn't even mean anything. And at the end, they're like, I looked for a list. I looked for a study that gave me a list of all the disorders that gave a number count, but I was unsuccessful. That's how much you know about psychology. Either you know about psychology and you know that the DSM exists, because the DSM is literally exactly that. It's not a study. It's a diagnostic manual.
I have a DSM-3 here, believe it or not. It's old, but I have a DSM-3.
Oh, that is old. They're on 5 now. Yeah. But it's a manual that lists all of the pathology.
I still have it, though. At least I have it. I know what it is. I read it. Well, not the whole thing, but I mean, I do look at it. Yeah.
But so they're implying here that psychology doesn't even understand how to classify all this stuff. There's just so much disorders flying around. Nobody even knows what they are. They just throw medication at them. You can't trust them. They don't even know what they're doing.
Wait, doesn't the D in DSM stand for diagnostic and M stand for manual? Like
that is correct.
What's the S for? I forget.
Statistical.
Okay, there you go. It's a tool.
Yes. So what they either don't know it exists. Do you want people that don't even understand what these disorders look like counseling you? Or they know it exists and they're purposefully being obtuse because it's their goal to make you think a certain way. They're brilliant with the language. They'll say flat out, we won't tell you to discontinue your medication. However, here's a list of people that did, and they're insanely successful. And, once you feel successful, then if you want to walk away, they call it walking away because they have to find a terminology because they can't call it discontinue your medication. You can walk it out. Sorry, that's what it's called. Walk it out. You can start walking it out with help from your doctor. We can help you talk to your doctor about how to start discontinuing your medication, because people staying sick is great for them because they're not going to solve anything. Not going to solve it. Oh, the homosexuality, they have the cure for that, by the way. They got the cure for that. Just drink some jelly juice and go see them, Kyle, because they have the cure for that. They also know the causes, apparently.
I told Shannon last night that I would be willing to try that if we could make a deal that I could put it back in once, I could get it back once we were finished doing this experiment, because there's no way in hell I want to be straight ever. So if we can agree that I can put the demon back in, I like the demon. Me and the demon get along just fine. Sure, have a break from him for a couple minutes. I'm great with that, but he's got to come home. That's all I'm saying. He's got to come home.
He's gonna come back. He's gonna come back. Well, you know what? Clearly,
would I be the null
hypothesis?
If I drink jelly juice, will I turn gay as a as a null?
No, you have to be fabulous to be gay. Okay. That's a prerequisite. If you don't have fabulousness in you,
good. Because I don't really want to try jelly juice. I don't really want to know what it tastes like. I have a feeling I'd never get that taste out of my mouth.
I don't think it's a zero-sum engine, Steve. I don't think that's how that works.
Okay, good.
Well, that's it for my slide. I'm done with the slides. I still probably have a lot more to say, though, and I'm willing to take questions a bit more. Oh, is this what is this? Been diagnosed? Oh, yes, this is them saying if you've been diagnosed with a specific syndrome or disorder and are dissatisfied with your medical options, seek out competent. That's a strong word for you guys. Competent local counseling. This is evidence that they are actively pursuing people with mental health disorders to recruit them into their counseling practice. So this isn't spiritual counseling, right? This is why I'm upset. They're not just spiritually counseling people.
No,
they're actively seeking out people with mental health issues and presenting themselves as trained, accredited, licensed PhD counselors in standalone businesses with all the artifice of legitimacy.
They've got laws against predatory lending. They got laws against predatory things when it comes to the elderly. Why in this country do we not, in Canada too, why do they not have the similar type of anti-predatory type things because this is clearly a predatory thing.
Because it goes against religion.
There are exemptions. There are exemptions even for still. Religious things still have some things that they cannot do. I mean, obviously there's loopholes here.
Tell me what.
Well, I mean,
they
can't tell people not to get rid of their medication. They can't say they can't write out and come out and say don't take your meds. Right? There are certain things they can't
against
do.
Kids, the highway robbery that is performed from people who are given their life savings. There's not a damn thing that religious organizations don't get away with. I mean, how long was it that they said on that report?
Yeah, they get away with it, but there are laws against it. But those laws they're not being held accountable to those laws.
What law are they pulled into right now, do you think, Steve? Because they're not. There's no law. There is no law. They are operating within a loophole. They found a loophole to exploit, and they are exploiting the crap out of it for profit. They created a multi-level marketing scheme with big.
That was my point. That why aren't there laws to protect mental health issues? Why aren't there laws out there to help people that are mentally unwell?
Call your congressman or whatever the hell it is, and ask them why.
That was my point. I'm agreeing. It doesn't seem like they're breaking anything.
Classification. Why can they call that a PhD? It's not.
I don't know.
Why isn't PhD a protected? Because I've been researching this for 2 months now, a little over 2 months now, and there's nothing protecting. I could open up a Shannon School of Thoughtlandia and give people PhDs in thoughting tomorrow if I wanted to.
Can we do that, please? I want a degree.
You know what? You probably make bank.
By the way, Shannon, without a crystal ball, Katie just said in the live chat that if you'll send her slides, she'll write it up in an article on Pathos. So you should connect with her and
Katie, go to my video. In my video description, I am very thorough because I want everybody to know how serious I am taking this. People with mental health disorders and depression could decide not to go on medication that might help them. They could decide not to go into cognitive behavioral therapy that might help them. It's not even just about the medications.
But why couldn't you start an organization to counter
this?
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't you start an organization to counter this? Yeah, to get with the lawmakers to make legislation to prevent these things from being loopholes.
I would encourage you.
I mean, it'd be a lot of work. Don't get me wrong.
I don't have any power up there. I'll provide you with whatever documentation you need and whatever support you need, but I am Canadian. Your congressman's not going to listen to me.
Yeah. The thing is here, I think
all I can do is tell people.
I think what's happening here is just a lack of people not being aware. I think that for some reason they've been able to fly under the radar with this, and
not anymore.
I think if the greater public knew about these practices, they would surely want to curtail that really quickly, because I don't see anybody being okay with this. Not even Christians. Not even Christians. I don't think for the most part would be okay with this.
And that would be your biggest ally on this.
People don't realize what they're doing. Yes,
if you were to get the Christians,
because they're representing them poorly.
Exactly. They would be a huge ally.
They can open their own ministry. They don't even need it, because most churches aren't going to sign on for this nonsense. They're not going to say, yeah, sure. No. Tell people that might have schizophrenia that they've got demons inside of them. Great idea. Tell people to just completely disregard an entire segment of academia because sometimes words have Greek origins. It's like, sure, yeah, absolutely, I'm on board. But great thing about America is you can start a church of fucking anything. And just
that's true.
Be a church. Just be a church. You just need to fit minimum criteria, and then you just get to be a church. You just get to be a church.
Yeah, that's true.
And the thing is, there's no regulating body for that, and that's where I think that you need a body to look into these types of things, because, like Shannon said, this is potentially harming untold amount of people. Because and it hinges on one crucial thing, And what you said, Shannon, when people are looking like online or, however they're searching for something, if they have an event that happens in their life and they have, for whatever reason, turned to religion, that's going to be one of the things in their searches. They're searching for people, a Christian, that's a perfect search term, Christian counselors, or, and this is going to be what pops up. And I think that's ludicrous. I mean, the whole thing is just bizarre.
Do you have any idea what their actual base is as far as the people? How much people do you have enrollment? I mean, how many enrollments do they have? Do you have any idea? I mean, I'm looking at their board. They've got more people on. I mean, they have a huge board.
Oh yeah, because it's a massive industry. It's an industry. It's an industry that's been flying under the radar at the expense of people that need legitimate mental help, because they're actively recruiting people that need mental health care, actively recruiting them. Like that can't be more clear at this point. They flat out said, if you are not satisfied with medical options, come see a qualified counselor. They're relying on the fact that people aren't great at researching and advocating for themselves, and that they're trusting. And they are. People see that they're affiliated with the church and they've got a PhD and they're from and they went to an accredited institutions and they have a license. And those are the things that they're looking for. Those are check, license, accreditation, education, PhD, Christian. There's a million Christian counselors who are fabulous.
I think there's the biggest issue with in terms of the predatory situations that churches often get themselves involved with. There's a key thing, and we talked about this last night too. There's a key thing that they play on or that they look for, and desperation. When people are desperate, same thing with like last night we were talking about televangelism. People go to those because they have no other option, because either they've been told there's nothing more they can do medically, or something like that. So that they're going to this like, this is my last shot. If I just pay whatever it costs to show them that I'm willing to do it, then they prey on desperation. That's what a lot of these churches do. They prey on people who are desperate and looking for that last that last chance.
People are throwing Hail Marys because they're desperate in their lives and they're looking towards their religion and they're looking towards God, and they take a chance at counseling, maybe because they were recruited, maybe because they searched it, whatever reason. And then they encounter these people don't have any training that's of any value that I can see. And if anything, they have training that's contra to the mental health of these people who are vulnerable and desperate, and they have no obligation to and are not incentivized to direct you to somebody who can help you. And even if they would, they're not trained to recognize the symptoms of real mental health disorders, because they either refuse to acknowledge the existence of the DSM or they don't know it exists. Right.
How much does this cost, Shannon? Like, if somebody wants to do this course, how much do they charge for this course?
Oh, I had slides for that. Let me go see if I can find it. It's between per segment, and it's broken off in segments. Each component is broken off in segments. They're about $800 per segment. So by the time you're all done, you could essentially go from GED to PhD for about $10,000. So that at that point you're invested. So you're incentivized to sell it if you're going to get a kickback, and you really need to find some people to counsel at that point, because you're in the hole and you can go work anywhere.
But comparatively speaking,
okay, see them?
Yeah, I was going to say comparatively
per
speaking,
course,
though.
but each segment
per course,
one at a time.
Yeah,
one at a time
per course. Yeah. And each course is part of, like, you need like 5 or 6 for your degree, and then you need another 6 or 7 for your master's.
Phase 1 is $1,700. Phase 2 is $1,600. Phase 3 is $1,400. Then when you add them all up, it's about $10,000 because there's 7 phases.
How does that compare to a normal, like if they went the academic way, the real academic way? How does that compare?
Cheaper. Way cheaper.
I was going to say, comparatively speaking, a PhD is almost 6 figures right now.
I spent $10,000 for my GI Bill, and I didn't even finish my degree. So.
Yeah. That's even worse, though, because that gives people a more incentive to go this route. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's even
especially the people
crazier.
doing it. The people doing it may not even realize they may legitimately want to be a counselor. and see this Christian counseling thing, because you have to dig to find the loopholes that they use.